In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, the great Mahdi, to whom all holy praise is due forever. I further bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is that promised Messiah and man like Moses that was prophesied to come and has now come. And I lastly bear witness that his chief student and representative and the servant of God in our midst today is none other than the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And it's in their righteous and holy names that I greet the people of God in the greeting words of peace. We said in the ancient Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. First, I would like to take a moment and just thank the Honorable Louis Farrakhan for the monumental college tour that he just completed. Working tirelessly traveling throughout the country, speaking to our young people. And while others are asking for thousands upon thousands of dollars of honorarium just to speak in the colleges, the man of God who was known all over the globe as a world leader and spiritual teacher asked for nothing but the ears of the young people. The more and more I study the great ministry of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, I am in awe and can never thank Allah enough for his servant, for all that he has done for our people, but more specifically, my generation. He has been the most faithful guide and teacher and warner of the black youth, while the rest of the world casts us to the side as hopeless. And whether we want to admit it or not, he is the only one who is effective in reaching our hearts and our minds and bringing out of us that which God has placed within us. All praise due to Allah for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. He has proven that Allah has given him the master grip to pull our young people out of the grave of ignorance that our enemies have placed us in. And the problem is, those in authority and many parents know they can't do anything with their children. But rather than being mature enough to direct their children to the man of God, whom God has given the power to save the youth, they tell the children, stay away from Farrakhan. Stay away from the Muslims. So we rather watch our children die out in this world rather than direct them to the man who has the power to save us. We must be freed from this type of self-hatred, envy, and slave thinking that says whoever the slave master says he doesn't like, we don't like. This is what has caused the great gap and division between the young people and the elders, because God has not fashioned this young generation to think like slaves, even though we have been deceived into behaving like it. But if you look at the hearts of the young people, they almost instinctively reject anything that resembles the doctrine of the oppressor. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has made it known that this is why our enemies today are so afraid and work so hard to keep our youth distracted. They want to make sure that we're high out of our minds on kush. They want to make sure we're high off ecstasy and drunk off liquor, so that spirit of dissatisfaction that we have in us would never threaten their rule. But regardless to what the enemy feels, this is exactly what God plans to do with this generation. All over the globe, we are witnessing an uprising of young people against the status quo and the elites. But the most potentially powerful of all young people are the black youth in America and the brown youth. For we have been those born in the belly of the beast. And as the minister said, the greater the suffering of a people, the more powerful the leaders they will produce. This is the destiny of our young people. And those in authority, whether they be the educators or the teachers, the professional people, the government, and even the parents, have become too arrogant to see the divine potential in our young people. So we are quick to say how lost and crazy young people are, simply because they don't listen to them. But we never look at ourselves to see if maybe we are the ones that's lost, or they are the ones that's lost. I work in the Chicago public school systems. I go throughout all the cities, and everywhere I go, I hear gossip from the administration, staff, and the teachers about how lost the youth are. But common sense would tell us, if we are so lost, we are only a manifestation of the ineffectiveness of our predecessors and the institutions that we put so much trust in from the enemy. All praise be to Allah. And it's true, we are a lost generation. No one can deny that. But we forget that God says he would take the lost sheep, not the found, but the lost sheep, and settle them on the mountains of Israel. He also says, my sheep know my voice. So even though we're lost, we know the voice of God when we hear it. And this is why we respond to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he speaks to us, because we hear the voice of God. All praise be to Allah. The minister raised the question, why has God allowed the children to rebel against everything that is supposed to influence their lives? A couple of decades ago, it was the home and the school, which had the most, and the church as well, which had the most influence over young people. But now we see the peers, and music and television has more influence than all of that combined. The minister answered his question. He said that when the word of God gets in the atmosphere, that a woman will produce in her womb a child who will rebel against her own rebellion to God. And this is what we are witnessing in our young people today, a generation who is rebelling against a world that was already in rebellion to God. So as I close and I leave, I just want to say that when Moses saw God, he saw him as a bush that was on fire but not being consumed. The minister said there's no such thing as a bush that's on fire but not being destroyed. But this represents the anger of God over the condition of his people. But God is never destroyed by his emotions. And likewise, we as young people are angry over our condition, but we are being destroyed by our emotions because we lack the knowledge of our fathers. So brothers and sisters, let us prepare to hear from our Minister Ishmael Muhammad, who will give us the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which will allow us to control that fire in a controlled manner, that fiery spirit that God has given us to light up our communities and make war with the darkness among our people. Thank you for listening to these brief words as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.